In a telephone interview with PNC News, Consolidated Commission on Utilities Chairman Simon Sanchez confirms the existence of the unused sewer line in Agana. It was paid for and installed by Guam many years ago. It was meant to service parts of Sinahanya and Jotnya, running down Route 4 and then feed into the Agana sewage treatment plant. Sanchez says the sewer line was never put into operation and is still not in use. When asked if this sewer line could have averted or lessened the impact of the current moratorium, Sanchez responded by saying the CCU and GWA are now counting on this larger sewer line to be part of the solution in helping to lift the moratorium. In the meantime, PNC has learned there is a second unused sewer line in Tumon. This one is located here, near the sandcastle. Its existence is common knowledge amongst developers like Mike Israel. So the sewer line basically leads to nothing because there is no pump station.
Correct. And it's not connected to anything.
Israel says the sewer line is approximately 24 to 36 inches and the installation took place in the mid to late 90s, back when sewage overflow was a common sight. It was supposed to be hooked up to a pump station, but that was never built, so the sewer line has been buried and unused for a decade. As for how much money was spent on the Tumon sewer line to nowhere, Israel said the Tourist Attraction Fund is being used to pay for this unused asset.
What they did is they went out and borrowed some money. They borrowed, I believe, about $50–60 million. And they used that money to build the sidewalks, the beautification, which was very nice. That really enhanced Guam's reputation. But they also spent it on this sewer line. And then the tourist attraction, about half of the tourist attraction fund goes to repaying that debt.
Both the unused Tumon and Agana sewer lines are part of the plan to lift the current moratorium on construction. Why they weren't hooked up and put to use sooner is a source of frustration for many island businessmen, as PNC's Mana Silva reports. The moratorium on the development of the northern region of Guam has raised some serious issues with developers and those in the real estate industry, as a stop order has reportedly resulted in millions of dollars in losses. And industry officials say those losses will continue to grow so long as this moratorium is in place. But what makes the matter even more frustrating is knowing that this all could have been avoided and that sewer lines have been in place in Tumon and along Route 4, but they cannot be used.
Here we're screaming about lack of sewer lines and lack of sewer systems, and yet this has been there for what, 10 to 11 years now since the phase 1 of the Tumon master plan was built. So that was kind of surprising and sad to see that and hear that.
Chris Felix is with Century 21 Realty Management. He says it's been especially frustrating finding out that the lines have been laying idle and literally abandoned while they've been forced to deal with the moratorium. Felix says it's put a damper on business with buyers reluctant to invest.
Well, trying to sell and then being told there's a moratorium and no hookups, and the buyers kind of leaving the island and saying, losing the buyers, and then finding out that there was a line there.
Nick Captain, president of Captain Realty, says he was aware of the sewer lines which were placed, and he agrees it's frustrating knowing that these lines are there, but they're not being used.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that there's not better coordination and better planning, and it hurts the economy. It hurts the real estate community. It hurts our business, and there's a ripple effect throughout the entire economy.
The moratorium was established putting a stop to all permits for development in the Tumon area and in the Chalanpago-Mangilao area. That's because the sewer and water system is inadequate to sustain any further growth in those parts. And while the lines may have alleviated some of the stress on the system, Captain says he's not really sure it would have been enough to prevent the moratorium.
Well, I don't know that that is indeed the case. I don't know that if that single sewer line was put in use that the moratorium wouldn't have been implemented. I don't know. I do know that the moratorium has had a very significant negative impact on the real estate market.
In the meantime, there is a consortium of developers who are looking at funding the upgrades to the Northern Water wastewater system, and that's one of the options being considered by the Guam Waterworks Authority and the Consolidated Commission on Utilities. Montesilva Pacific News Center.